from Fabbulous Paper Emporium, and we are extremely excited today. There's two reasons to celebrate. Number one, and probably the most exciting part, is we've reached 500 subscribers. Yay! So there will be a giveaway, and I'm putting those details together. So look for that post coming very soon. And then the second part is it's CRAFTSMAS in July. Yay! And I'm really excited about this project today. So we've had cards, we've done tags. Now this is what I've called a hot chocolate card. And you'll see pretty soon. Well, if you can see from the outside, you see these tiny little marshmallows on this side with this cute little acetate window. But there's more to the card. What goes well with marshmallows? Besides Rice Krispies and butter and vanilla, and now I'm drooling. What goes best with them? Hot chocolate. And when you open this beautiful card, ta-da! You have 2 sachets of hot chocolate. So what's better than, giving a homemade Christmas card? Giving a homemade Christmas card with a little gift attached to it it's all in one. So I want to give a massive shout out to Noble Crafts. This is purely inspired by them. They, I believe, are in the UK because all of the measurements were in centimeters. So I've done a little bit of finagling and a juggling of the measurements and made a little bit of tweaks here and there. But overall, this is absolutely a shout out to them. Super fantastic card when I saw it there. And so I definitely wanted to give credit where credit is due. So anyways, this is what we are going to be making today. I know, looks like a lot, but it isn't. It is super fantastic. Now that I've figured out all the measurements, it is super easy to make. Just go step by step. There are a lot of pieces, but in the long run, you end up with a super fantastic card. So once you make it, I guarantee you will be addicted to this card. I already know this is going to be my go-to for any card that I am handing out this holiday. 100%. Okay, so you could also do, and I just wanted to make this clear now because I will forget by the time we get to the end of the video. If you didn't want to do hot chocolate on the inside, there's like those little latte pockets that you could probably fit in here. It is a fairly deep, like these are not exactly small in terms of the sizes. And so you could, if you had like those little latte sachets, you could probably fit those in there. You could put little candies on this side. I might hesitate doing chocolates because they may melt depending on your environment. But anything that, like those little, what are they, Pocky sticks? Pokey? I can't remember what they're called. Anyways, if you wanted to put little sticks of cinnamon, if you wanted to do apple cider, like whatever works. And it doesn't even have to be used in conjunction. If you wanted to include something in this pocket, it could be candies. If it's not somebody who drinks hot chocolate, which is weird, but that's okay. Everybody, you do you. So anyhow, so this is what we are making today. We have broken out another one of the Echo Park Mega Pads. And I cannot even tell you how amazing these puppies are. And we have so many in stock. We have the Christmas Salutations, which we used for the 2 cards. We have this one, Christmas Magic. We have Jingle All the Way. We even have a winter one. So if it's somebody that doesn't maybe celebrate Christmas, we do have some of the smaller pads as well. Oh, there's a fall one also. So this totally can be used for fall. It could be used for baby shower gifts, for wedding gifts. We have some of the smaller, when I say smaller, there's still 24 sheets. There is a Silent Night, a Christmas, Farmhouse Christmas. There's a Lumberjack one. We have a ton. Even the 12 by 12 would work. The 6 by 6 work best in my very humble opinion because the patterns that you have are a smaller ratio. So you'll see here This, if it was a 12 by 12, would certainly be a lot larger. So just keep that in mind. So I've already started disassembling my paper pad, but as I showed you for the Christmas salutations, you get 36 double-sided pattern papers. There's 9 solids and 3 title sheets. And the title sheet for this one, actually I'm gonna have to delve into another one anyways, and I should have had this done before, but I didn't. Okay, is this one. And making hot cocoa, I mean, come on. It doesn't get easier than this. So I'm just gonna rip this one out because I used the first one for my original sample. I'm just gonna go ahead, set these sheets aside. In this paper pack, I'm gonna bring this right back in because I forgot to show you. Not all of them. So the Christmas salutations, we had a lot of the sheets were set up like this, right? 2 strips, 2 cut aparts. You do get some in this pad as well, which is great for cards. But like, look at these two. I'm sorry. Look at these, super fun. This isn't a solid. It's actually like a small tone on tone. Hopefully you can see that. But some really amazing, everything is double-sided. So cute. And of course, everything coordinates together. Coordinate. Yeah, coordinate. Okay, so getting back to what we need to do, I'm just going to quickly cut this out. Just going to bring in my paper trimmer here, get that lined up as best I can, because I feel like it's never 100% perfect, although I get super excited when it's really close. And then I'm sorry, I was going to flip it over, but I realized. There. Okay, so now we're going to use our making hot cocoa. We're going to use that one for the one we're making right now. The nice thing too, of course, of course the neighbor's doing construction. Anyways, the nice thing too, I mean, I know and I should also note, sorry, I'm so excited I'm getting distracted. I am using the archival ink Red Geranium for this one. I used it in the tags as well. Absolutely love it. But if there is a little sliver, you don't notice it so much on this one because it's black. And I'm just getting rid of the white, I need to ink it up again, the white core by doing this, by inking my edges. But when you're cutting out, if it's, you know, if you haven't quite got it right on the mark, if there's a little sliver of like red or black or whatever, hopefully it's a color that you have in ink, and then you could just ink around the edges and it's gone. Like nobody's going to notice. So fantastic little tip for you today. Okay, so getting into the size, pieces, the measurements, all that fun stuff. We have quite a bit to go through because there's a lot of pieces to this project. A lot is solid. So you'll see that the amount of designer paper, again, not humongous. We've got these pieces really, and you know, a cut apart, and then some what I would call scrap, because theirs are pretty small. So wonderfully, you know, thrifty when it comes to that part. Okay, and I'm getting myself set up as much as I possibly can. We're going to go through the black. I've used black as our base today. And we start off with a piece that is 12 by 6. We'll be scoring this together. The next piece that we have is 6.5 by 4. We have a piece that is 7 3/4 by 5.5. And we have a piece that is 3 by 3. This is the piece that is going to be layered. You're going to use it as a layer for your cut apart. So whatever size your cut apart is, just add 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 inch, depending on how much of a border you want around the outside. Alrighty, so this is the only piece that may vary depending on what it is that you're wanting to use, so just keep that in mind. So that is it for the black cardstock. Now for the red, we have, sorry, I gotta get myself situated here. Got lots of pieces. Okay. So all of these look so very, very similar. I'm just going to use my ruler to make sure. So this is 6 1/4 by 5 3/4. That's going to go on the back side. All of the paper that I'm using today is 65 pound. And once you add all the layers, it does become very sturdy. The only thing that I found is probably could use an extra little bit of stability at the back. When I made my sample card, as you notice, I put a white piece on the inside here for my message and my sentiment. If you wanted to put it anywhere else, you could also put it on the back. But like I said, I didn't do anything to the back this time. But as you can see, it kind of is a little bit flimsy. So I will be adding this piece to the back this time. And you could always put the white piece on the back and then just substitute this for another beautiful piece of pattern paper. Okay, getting back to it. All right, so now we have 2 pieces, and both of these measure 4 1/2 by 5 3/4. Those go on the front and the inside flap, I'm going to call it. We have 4 pieces. These cover our gussets and the side of our box. We have 4 pieces, and these all measure 1/2 inch by 5 3/4. We have 1 piece here that is, this is 4 1/2 by 4, 4 1/2 by 4, and that is for, what is that for? 4 1/2 by 4. Oh, the above the pocket. That's where that goes. This one is 4 1/4 by 2 3/4. This is for the pocket, so we'll be scoring this one as well. And then we have a couple of these little pieces that are, these are 3/4 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch by 1 1/2. And then, oh, we also do need, we may have to do some cutting. I apologize because I'm just looking at my list and realized that it's not a requirement, surely, but I did put a little strip of red all the way around this box. You don't necessarily see the inside, like this inside little bit, but you can kind of see it because there's a bit of a gap. So, I mean, I just decided that I was going to do it. So if we're doing that, then we are going to need 1 piece that measures 4 1/4 by 1/4 inch. And you're going to need 2 pieces that are 1/4 inch by 2 3/4. I'm going to get to cutting that right now. And then I will be back with you to, you know what? I'll give you the rest of the measurements. Makes more sense that way. And then I'll do my cutting and I'll come right back. So this white piece of cardstock is 4 3/8 by 5 5/8. We have that. Our designer cardstock, this piece is going to be the same. It's 4 3/8 by 5 3/8. This will go on the front. We have this piece that is for the top of the pocket, and this measures 4 1/8. Nope, 4 3/8 by 3 7/8. We have this that goes on top of the pocket, the top layer, 4 1/8 by 2 5/8. And then we have our little cut apart. This I cut down to 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, but that can again vary depending. We have our little strip of hot cocoa. And, well, I guess it's not a strip of hot cocoa, it's just the saying. And then we have 2 pieces that are 1 3/8 by 5/8. And these will go on the top and the bottom of our little marshmallow box. Okay, so I'm going to get to cutting our the pieces that I have totally forgotten about, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. And I, of course, this little guy is acetate and is totally transparent. So I totally forgot about giving you the size of this. This I've used obviously to create the window in our marshmallow box. And this is 1.5 by 1.5, by 5 3/4. Sorry, I thought I was reading the wrong measurement. So that is what we are going to need for the box. Okay, so first things first, we got to get some scoring done. So we are going to need the piece that is 12 by 6, the piece that is 7 3/4 by 5.5, and the piece that is 6.5 by 4. So out of our black piece, the only one that we are not scoring is the small one that is a layer for our cut apart. Okay, so we grab our scoreboard and get to scoring. Okay, so the first one we're going to start off with is our piece that is 12 by 6. Making sure that I've got that in frame so everyone can see. Okay, so 12 by 6 with a 12 by 6 with a 12-inch at the top. We are going to score at 4 3/4 and 5.5. So this is making the outside. Okay, we're making this basically seamless. You could, if you only had 8.5 by 11, you could absolutely get away with that. What I would do for that one is I would probably have a piece that was 5.5 and then score that one at 4 3/4. And then your other piece could be, let's see, your other piece could be 7 1/4, and I would score that at 6.5. And that way where you score will be where that all lines up. So hopefully I didn't get you all confused just by saying that. So we've got our piece that is 12 by 6, and that's all scored up. Now we're going to grab our piece that is 7 3/4. So with the 7 3/4 by 5.5. So with our 7 3/4 across the top, we are going to be doing scoring at a 1/2 inch. I know I do this weird. And then we do at 6.5 and at 7 1/4. Okay. This is creating our marshmallow box. Then we're going to put the 5.5 at the top. And with the 5.5 at the top, we are going to score this at 1 3/4, at 2 1/2, at 4 1/4, and at 5. Okay, we are going to be doing a little bit of snipping, cutting for that. And then the very last piece that we need to score today is the one that's 6.5 by 4. So with the 6.5 at the top, we are going to be scoring at, you know what? This way I'm going to cheat a little bit, okay? Because I need 2 1/2 inches on either side. So I'm going to do 5.5 and 6, rotate it 180 degrees, and then repeat 5.5 and 6. If you wanted to score these on this side as well, so it's it's a 1/2 inch, 1, 5.5, 6. We are spinning this around, and with the 4 inch at the top, we are going to score 1/2 inch and 1, or not both. I'm going to cheat and do this at 3 and at 3.5. And that way I've got and I don't have to cross my hands because I'm right-handed. And that, anyways, for the first time, it poses a problem. Wish I was ambidextrous. That is for sure. Okay, so we don't need to do anything with our 12 by 6. We can set that aside. I do want to bring in the piece that we have cut that is 7 3/4 by 5 1/2. So that is the piece that we need right now. I'm going to grab my scissors, and I'm also going to bring in my white pen, because this is going to be something that I'm going to want to make sure that you are clear, or that it's understood, because there are some pieces on here that we are going to need to completely cut out. So we have at the top here, we have our 1/2 inch, right? And then we have our, sorry, I'm looking at my scoring here. So we have our 2 smaller score marks. Let me see if I can bring this up. Okay, so you see that right there? So having the 2 smaller score marks at the top with the longer one, wider one at the bottom. So we are going to cut out. Okay, now my pen's not working. That's great. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, all right, got it working. Okay, so we are cutting out this box. We are cutting out there's a box here and then a little rectangle. So we are cutting out both of these. And you want to cut away the score marks as well. We are going to cut away this. We are cutting away, just make sure that I'm doing this right. So these 2 pieces are also being cut away. All right, so we have our little tab, which allows us to open and close the box. And then for this one, we are good at the bottom. Okay, so that is all that we're going to cut out for this one. So I just wanted to take a minute. I will have this picture posted on my Facebook page, because I don't think I can post pictures here as part of the tutorial. If I could, I would. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut these out. Okay, so now that you've cut away the sections, we are going to come in with our scissors and we're going to do a small, where the score line is, we're just going to cut it out. And by cutting it out, we're cutting a little tiny, like pizza square, like that. So not very big. We just want to miter just a little tiny bit. And we're going to do that to all of the score lines at the bottom. So you're just cutting to that first score line. So we have our tabs. Spin it around and we are going to do the exact same thing to the top. And I think I just realized. Give me 1 second. With these ones on either side of this extra long, just, you don't have to worry about being a diagonal on when you're cutting this part down. Just cut the diagonal on the flap on either side, and that is totally enough. I did forget this little piece right here. Let me just take my white marker or white pen that is giving me all kinds of trouble. So this piece here also needs to be cut out. So make sure that you have your skinny score line on this side, the fat one over on this side, that's the tab that you're wanting to cut off. Just like that. So this is what your piece should ultimately look like. You've got your 2 little tabs. This will be actually at the top, so I should spin that around. Okay, so we have our score mark is up at the top here. That will create our little flap to secure our marshmallows. This is the bottom part. We'll seal that all in. And then we have our skinny tab on the right hand side with the fatter on the left. The next thing we need to do is make our window box for this. So I am going to bring out my scoreboard and my score mat. And this is the easiest way I have found to create this. So I'm going to do this on the inside. Nobody's going to see the inside. You're going to put your marshmallows like in a plastic, whether it's a Ziploc bag or a cellophane bag, something like that to protect it. The cardstock obviously is not food safe. And so that's my recommendation. Anyways, the marshmallows that I have in there are likely to go in the garbage. But anyhow, so I'm wanting to do a measurement that is 3/8 of an inch. So I'm going to basically, I'm using the lines up at the top. They go by 8ths. If you wanted to, you could also use your ruler as well. And because you have a little bit of a lip, I know that this is perfectly straight. My cardstock is pushed over there, over to the far left. So it is perfectly straight. And then I can just go ahead and make my pencil marks. So for the longer sides, so this score mark is ends up being at the 3-inch. So I'm just going to count 3 little dashes, which gives me 3/8 of an inch. And I'm going to make a pencil mark from this second score line all the way down to the bottom score line. Okay. And then I'm going to repeat this on the other side. So the score line over here is at 1 1/4. I count 1, 2, 3. That's to 1 5/8. I put my ruler flush to the top and I'm going to make a pencil line. Okay, so now you have 2 little tabs that are 3/8 of an inch, or not tabs, but 2 little lines. And then at the top, I'm going to spin this around. So now to make the top pieces, so the very top score line is at 6 1/2. I'm going to move that down 1 full inch. So we are doing that at, my mark is going to be at 5 1/2 going across. And I'm just connecting the 2 pencil marks. And then I'm doing the same thing at the bottom. So at the bottom, this very bottom score line is at 1/2 inch. And I'm going to make my pencil mark at 1 1/2 inches. Again, just connecting those 2 pencil marks. So now you should have something that looks like that. Okay, put it on the side, and now you've got, this is going to be your window. We're going to cut that out with our X-Acto blade. Be very careful with your X-Acto blade. You do not want to slice off a digit or part of a digit. So I'm grabbing my X-Acto blade, and my score mat is, while very handy, is not a self-healing mat, which is why I don't cut on it. It's good for a lot of other things, but I would have a ton of little scratches if I was using it for a score mat, or for a cutting mat. Okay, so I'm just going to line up my blade with the top corner, getting my ruler all aligned. And then I'm using the ruler as a guide. I have cut into this ruler more times than I can count. I'm going to do the pass probably 3 times just to ensure that I've cut through. And this way you get a nice, clean, crisp cut. I'm going to do that again on all the remaining sides. Okay, so voila, we have our window. I'm going to, just because you don't have to erase it. This is on the inside, so nobody is going to see this anyways, but I'm going to erase it just because. Okay, so now we have our window all cut out. We can apply our acetate. For that, I would definitely recommend double-sided tape. That would work best, in my opinion, because the acetate is really non-porous. I don't feel like I get a good adhesion with. It takes a while for it to dry, the liquid glue. Words are not coming today. I don't know why. So I'm just going to run a strip of 1/8 of an inch score tape. I'm trying to apply it as close to the edge as I possibly can, because remember, this is only 3/8 of an inch in terms of the side little things that we can attach it to. I am going to use slightly thicker at the top and the bottom because we did give ourselves a full inch at the top and bottom. So if I can find the beginning of my score tape, this is 3/8 of an inch, I believe. So still is going to give us, you know, quite a bit. You don't necessarily have to secure it all the way to the top, but you know, you can absolutely. Okay, and then we can go ahead and put this puppy in. Okay, I am just going to peel back the adhesive backing to all 4 sides and apply it. Okay. I'm going to move it this way. I just feel like I get a better vantage point. Okay. Oh boy. Sticky. Okay. So I'm just making sure that I give myself, you know, enough room top and bottom, that I'm not going to impede the folding or the bending, which I'm not. Coming back with my bone folder just to give that a really good squish down. Just thinking that you could also, it would make an absolutely massive shaker card if you wanted to fill that with goodies. But then again, you wouldn't want to have a tab at the top because then your goodies could spill out. We don't want that. This is what I mean by the tab at the top. So I've actually made it like a box, like a little chocolate box. So it can be closed and opened, and you didn't have to actually tear it open to, you know, to get at the marshmallows. The next thing that I'm going to do is with our little tab here is I took my quarter rounder, my little crocodile quarter rounder, and I rounded the 2 corners at the top. Not necessary. If you have another corner punch, then by all means. Why is this not going in? Maybe because it's not open all the way. That helps. All right, so I'm rounding these 2 corners just like so. And just to make it look like an actual box, I took my scissors and on that score line, I just did a little tiny notch, probably coming in about 3/8 of an inch. 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch. Not really measuring, just eyeballing. And that way it just kind of looks, you know, I don't know, looks more, you know, finished, polished, like kind of your standard box, I guess. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to burnish all of our fold lines or score lines. Okay, so now that all of our fold lines are burnished, we're going to seal this in. So what we're going to start by doing is so this is the back side. I'm flipping this to the front. I want to put score tape on the side that's facing up for our little tab. I grabbed our 3/8 inch score tape. Love this. Okay, so this tab, when we peel that off, if I fold this in, then this little, the big pocket can fold down and adhere right to that little tab. Okay, so then we end up with the beginning of our box. I like to also press it down the opposite way just to make sure that everything is nice and square. All right, so for our bottom, so we are going to want to seal this shut. And you can absolutely do that with liquid glue. Again, find it takes just a bit too long. So I'm going to grab a little bit of my thing is running away. I'm going to grab 2 little bits of, again, my 3/8 double-sided tape, making sure that that is stuck there. Little tab there. Okay, so just like so, I'm going to peel the adhesive backing just as soon as I make sure that that is all adhered there. And oh my goodness, it's not coming off, and some of my nails are broken, so I can't peel it properly. There we go. Okay, so just like that, I'm going to fold the first layer in. It grabs fairly quickly and fairly easily. I am going to, on this tab that is open, I'm going to grab some 1/4 inch score tape just for right at the top edge, and peel this back like that. And then I'm just going to stand my box up, and this way with my ruler, the ruler just barely fits, I'm going to tap it down. And this way I know it's all nicely sealed. It's not going anywhere. It's all good. Perfect. Love it. Okay, so on the top, you don't really have to do anything because this is how it closes. Ta-da! Now we have a Smarshmallow box. All right, so we are well underway. Have a little bit more to go. The next thing that we're going to walk through is our pocket. And we will have to cut out some of the bottom squares. So here we have our top of our pocket. So there's no score line going horizontally here. We have this 6.5 by 4. So we have 2 sets of score marks and then score marks at the bottom. We are going to cut out these 3 squares. 1, 2, 3. So all of these get cut out, and we're doing the same thing on this side. So 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, Okay, so we're going to start off by cutting those out. Okay, so now we have a piece that looks very similar to this. We are going to do a little cut along this score line to create a tab. We're going to do that to both sides. We're cutting just above the score line. And I'm going to do, well, I didn't do a very good job there. So I'm mitering a little bit at the top and at the bottom. There. I think I got it. Nope, it's still attached. There. Okay, so here's how we're going to create our box, very similar to how we just created the marshmallow box. Grab some more score tape if you have it. I'm just going to apply a little bit on these two little tabs that we're left with. I'm going to jump to my 3/8 and apply this to our bottom as well as to our two sides. So just keeping in this first score mark. You don't want to go outside of it. So I'm applying it as close as I can to the edge, the outer edge. Okay, so that's what we have right now. We're not going to start folding it because we do want to start adding our layers now. So adding our layers, we are going to come to our red pieces. And we are going to look for the red piece that measures, I think it's 4 1/4 by 2 3/4. We want that red piece, and we want our designer paper that is going to measure 4 1/8 by 2 5/8. Now we can grab our liquid glue. I am for sure 100% that this is not going to come out right away. I'm going to have to stab. Oh, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Every time I don't say anything, I have to stab it twice. So go figure. Okay, so layer it on your red piece. Then we're going to layer our red piece onto the front of our pocket. You're going to want to have a good enough vantage point where you can do your best to get this in the middle of the score lines, which is a little bit more challenging, but with the liquid glue, you do have the option to kind of move it around, shift it a little bit. So that's going to go right there. And we can get these score lines folded and burnished. If you've already done that, then that is totally fine. I usually do that before putting on the decorative paper, but this is the one time where steps are really not, doesn't matter if you do them out of order. Okay, just making sure that when you do all of your folding and burnishing, that you are just making sure that everything is aligned properly, that the top here is all nicely aligned. Same thing with the bottom. Okay, so we can remove these two little bits of adhesive that we have on our tab, our two little tabs. These are going to, as soon as I get that off, they're going to adhere to this second score line piece. let me bring that up close. So when I fold it, this will stand up. Hopefully you can see that, and will adhere like that. Okay, so now right here is where my tab is. Let me get my pen, my handy dandy white pen. See where I've colored in there? That's my little white tab. It's attached to this, which is the second between this, the inside score lines. Okay. And then we're going to repeat the exact same thing on this side. So this tab right here is going to go right here. Okay. Hopefully that's a little bit more clear, because it's hard to kind of pinpoint that. So I'm just making sure that my corner is, whoops, it helps if I'm in camera. My corner is nice and flush. Same thing with this side. Okay. I'm going to want my bottom tab also to be on the outside, not on the inside. And I've just found that just makes things a little bit easier. It won't catch when you're trying to put things in. And so right now, I'm just going to start each of the sides with I'm pulling back a little bit, okay, so that we can judge where our bottom is being adhered to. Again, you want to keep that nice and square. I'm going to pull a little bit of this side back and just kind of crease it. And we're going to fold the bottom tab up and just get that all nice and square as well. Okay, so this pocket is done. We can set that pocket aside for now. We are going to do some layering on our card base. So let's start by getting our fold marks, and I'm just seeing that, my goodness, that was off just a bit. I don't know how that happened, but I'm going to take my scissors really quickly. I mean, sometimes it happens, but boy. Okay, that's better. Whoopsie. Okay, so we are going to layer our red onto the top. So you should have two pieces that are red that are 4 1/4 by 5 3/4. So we're going to start by grabbing one piece, as well as the front layer that is going to go on top of your decorative paper. That's 4 3/8 by 5 5/8. Grab our liquid glue and apply it. All right. Whoa. Thank goodness it's liquid and dries clear. All right. Okay, so we've got the front layer done. We are going to grab our second piece of 4 1/2 by 5 3/4, grabbing our white piece that is also 4 3/8 by 5 5/8, and we're going to apply. If you are wanting to stamp on it and you do want to do that before you apply it to your layer, then absolutely do so. I'm just going to apply it now. I'm going to come back in later and probably write a message on there. Okay, so the front part goes on the front. I'm going to get some liquid glue on here really quickly. And we're applying this to our front panel. Oh boy. Okay. I don't know the last time I've had this many problems putting this on. I'm going to flatten this out because I think part of the problem is I've left more of a border with the black than I did with the red, and now that's messing with my mind. I need to add more glue because we're at the point where the glue is now dry. Okay, let's try this. Oh, one more time. Okay. There we go. Third time. I don't know if that was the third time or fourth time. Goodness knows. And then we can apply our other panel on the inside, hopefully with a little bit less effort. Hopefully this guy's a little bit easier. Okay. Yes, helps when you take your time. Okay, so now we have that done. We're going to add our little 1/2-inch strips to the inside, the outside. We're going to add it to our box as well. So just a little bit of glue. Doing my best to line this up with the red from the inside flap. Same thing when we flip it to the outside. Add a little bit of glue and try to get that all lined up on the outside. Okay, we can bring in our marshmallow box. This is where the other two pieces are going to go. You could always do this before actually assembling the box. That is totally fine. Probably a little bit more helpful then too. All right, flip it over. I'm going to add the last piece. Just like so. Okay. It's a little bit lower than I wanted it to be. Okay, perfect. Excellent. Okay, so we've got our box done. There are 2 more pieces that we can add to our box since we've got our box out. So we have a little strip that will go at the top, a little strip that will go at the bottom. And these ones are 1.5 by 3/4. So you have 2 of these, and then you have the top layer that is 1 3/8 by 5/8. So we're going to add our liquid glue, get those layered up. Of course, this step is purely optional. I think on Noble Crafts, their original one did not have anything on the front of the, or anything at all on the marshmallow box. It looked totally cute. So I think maybe the reason is I just felt like with the black, it was just very, very dark. And so theirs was white, and it looked, like I said, it looked totally cute. So totally optional here. This kind of breaks it up and brings that pattern all the way across from the front of the card when the card is closed. Okay. The next part, oh, we got to put this on the back, so this piece is going to go right here. And this is the piece that is 6.5 by 5 3/4. So if you wanted to decorate this piece too, you could absolutely do that. It's the back of the card though, so that was just my personal preference. I didn't feel like it needed it. Okay, get that centered as much as possible. And like I said at the beginning, you could always put a little message, a little stamp, something decorative on the back as well. That would look totally cute. If you wanted to have your white piece on the back, you could absolutely do that as well. Okay, so the next part is installation of our box. Okay, and to do this, I'm going to apply some of our wonderful double-sided tape. I just reached for the 3/4 inch. It's holding marshmallows. Even if it was holding candy, I feel like it would still be more than okay to hold that on. The double-sided tape is extremely strong. I'm going to use my scissors so that I don't crush the box. Okay, so 2 strips, getting them as close to the sides as the outer edges as I possibly can. And how I did this is I am going to start the peeling, much like when we were assembling our box. Okay, the top and the bottom are just not, you're not being very helpful today. Just saying. Okay, so I'm going to start it off like that. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. And this way it gives me, I'm not peeling the entire thing. So if it happens to go in the wrong spot, I am not freaking out. Been there, done that. So we're just lining it up with the bottom and this far outer edge, as close to that outer edge as we possibly can. When I like it in that spot, then I can just put my finger on the inside and get that glued down. And then I have a tab that I could pull. I'm not applying a whole lot of pressure with this hand. I'm just applying enough to keep the box in the spot that I want it to be in. And there we go. Before I move anything, I'm just going to grab my ruler and make sure that I slide that in and make sure that it's pressed down. Okay, and I'm going to do the exact same thing to the other side, although at this point it's pretty much in the place where it needs to be. And then I'm going to do the same thing. Just glide that in and make sure that your box is in the right place. So we have a beautiful box now attached. Ta-da! Okay, very next step, and we are going to, since I went through the trouble of cutting these out. So these again are, I've got 2 strips that are 1/4 inch by 2 3/4 that I'm going to apply on either side. And then I have a 3rd strip that is 4 1/4 by 1/4 inch. Again, completely optional, especially since I've stuck my fingers in the glue. Especially because it's not like there's, you can totally see it, but it just, for me, it finishes it off. But it's personal preference, and that's what crafting is all about. You don't like something, you don't have to do it. So I am just applying these. Plus it's great. I mean, you've got we've had to cut pieces, so we've got little scraps here, there, and everywhere. So it's nice to have, a use for them, because otherwise a scrap like this probably would go in the garbage. Can't say for sure because I have a ton that are small itty bitty strips, great for quilt cards, but I can only do so many of those. Okay, so now for the box. We have our fancy box, right, with our strips attached. I've done the, so we've done the same thing with this one. We're going to have to pull this one off, as well as I'm going to get the bottom one started like that. Okay, so I'm wanting to try and make sure this has the desire to kind of flip out a little bit. So I want to push that in as much as I possibly can. I am making sure the most important thing to do when you're applying the box is to make sure that this edge does not cross over this score line, because then the card is not going to close at all. And then you're also wanting to make sure that the bottom of your box is also pretty close to lined up. Sorry if you see my head. Okay, so we have, this works. I totally can close it. I'm going to grab, your ruler, your bone folder, just to make sure that this side is adhered. I'm going to grab my bottom tab, take off the adhesive backing, press down along the bottom, and then the very last step is getting this side piece, making sure that that's all tucked in, and then again making sure that it's nicely adhered. So we have our pocket installed. We're getting close. We're getting close. Okay, next step is, I forgot to do something, and I bet you know what it is. I meant to put this down. This piece has to go down before the pocket, but after the box, because then you can center this piece with yeah, that's not going to go anywhere. So I'm not even going to try to attempt. So if you were me about 30 seconds ago, you would go, okay, so the box is installed. Now we're going to apply our red piece. And you can see that our red piece would have gone down probably about a third of the way down here. You would then also apply your beautiful decorative paper, like so. And that would have gone down also. Don't have to worry necessarily if they line up at the bottom. Just make sure that you've got a nice little border on these three sides, because nobody's going to see this part. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to kind of like finagle this now. Okay, so this is a secondary option if you want to just add a small panel at the top. So all I've done here, so this is what it's going to look like. Okay. So all I've done now is I've cut this red piece, is now 4.5 by 2 3/4. And then my designer piece is 4 3/8 by 2 5/8. Okay, I'm going to layer those up, and then I'm going to apply those to the top of the pocket, or the area above the pocket, I should say, something like that. And here we go. Okay, so, crisis averted. It's, it looks just as beautiful as the other one. So you can do it whichever way you want. Either the way that I intended or the oopsie way, whichever way you like it. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to layer up these pieces as well, which is our cut apart for our front. I believe on the one that Noble Crafts did, she stamped an image, and it was the cutest little cup of cocoa. So if you have something like that, that would be awesome. I'm going to add a little bit of foam tape to this as well. I've got quite a bit of foam tape here. I don't want something that is super, super puffy. I don't even know where I got this foam tape. Could have been at dollar store of some description, because that adhesive backing is just basically flaking off. So could also be some some foam tape that I've had for quite a while. So hopefully it works and does the trick. I'm going to add a little bit of foam tape to the middle here. Yeah, this is not the it's not the adhesive backing that I'm used to. It just like is basically coming off. That's because this is not sticky at all. Oh my word. Yeah, that's old. That is garbage. All right. Here we go. Okay, next time maybe check the supplies before you use them. Because now I gotta use more. That's okay. I should have known. What was your first hint? The fact that it was just flaking off like nothing. I'm like, I wonder if it's old. Man. Okay, so this will go on the front. You could wrap some twine. You could add a whole bunch of embellishments to this if you want. That goes there. I'm opening that up so I can grab my 2 little sachets of hot chocolate. I'm only doing this because I want to add my making hot cocoa. I felt like you do have to kind of, there, get them like that. I do want to make sure that you can see this while there are sachets of hot cocoa in there, so that I'm not, you know, covering up our beautiful little embellishment there. And there you have it. All you need to do is add some marshmallows. It stands up beautifully. Okay, beautifully there. Stands up lovely so that it can be put on display. And yeah, I absolutely, absolutely love, love, love this card. Like I said before, it's going to be my go-to this year for any kind of giveaway. When I'm actually seeing the person, mailing this would be a little bit challenging unless maybe it was in a box with some other things. But even then, I think it might get damaged. But anyhow, hopefully you have enjoyed this tutorial. You found it useful or helpful, inspiring, hopefully, in some way, shape, or form. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them below. I do read and respond to every single one of them. So thank you so much for your time today. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all your love and support. I really, really appreciate it. Now, hopefully we can achieve our next goal, which is 1,000. So I really, like I said, I really do appreciate every like, every subscription, every comment. I really, really appreciate it. So hopefully that is felt. And hopefully you have had a fabulous time, because I know I have. Hopefully you continue to have a fabulous day, and I will see you next time. Bye.